All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Faizun. I'd love to know a little bit more about your background and what got you into franchise consulting.
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. It's such a delight to be here with you and with one of my very favorite brands in franchising, Schooly. So thank you. Thank you again. Um, Gosh, what got me into franchising? So I started in the industry, it's actually going to be 9 years this year. And as they say, when you are having fun, time kind of just flits away. And that's certainly been true for me in the work that we have been doing over the years. Um, I got into franchising not by deliberate action. I wish I could tell you I was that smart. It wasn't like that. I fell headlong into franchising without realizing what I was stepping into. So, 8.5 years ago, I'm here in the Washington, D.C. area, and I was working with a company. I was in corporate America, and it is one of the largest telecom providers in the country. It's a global company, but certainly in the country. And I'd been with the company 8 years, and I liked the work. I would be lying to you if I told you I loved the work. And in my mind, it's always been a significant difference. Um, Pardon me. And so I always felt I knew I wanted to do something different. Um, I had always looked for work that would provide two things for me: work that would be professionally fulfilling, but at the same time, work that was personally meaningful. And over the years in my career, Amanda, the two never quite seemed to come together. There was one or there was the other, one or the other. And I always felt in my heart's heart that once I saw it, I would recognize it. I don't know why, it was just this deep knowingness. At the company, 8.5 years, and they started having wave after wave of layoffs. And my position got eliminated. And other than the birth of my daughter, it was the second biggest blessing of my life. And that is what got me onto this trajectory of saying, okay, what does my next look like? It's exactly the kind of questions that our clients come to us with now, right? What does my next chapter look like for me? I had no idea. I'll spare you the gory details, but one thing led to another, and I found the world of franchising. And the deeper I got into it, Amanda, the more enamored I became. And I said, this is a little too good to be true. Really? Really? And ultimately, what sort of became, and it's what we lead with now in our company at the Franchise Pros, in essence, we help our clients live life on their terms. And that is essentially what I was able to do when I found the world of franchising.
That's amazing. What an incredible background. And it's so true. A lot of our candidates alone, but a lot of other people out there are coming from corporate America and they no longer want those golden handcuffs. They want that freedom, the time freedom, the financial freedom, and franchising provides that opportunity for them. So when it comes to you working with, your clients and working through that process, how do you go about understanding their goals, their timelines, their skills, their financial needs?
I love that question. How much time do we have for that? um, well, again, I think isn't that sort of the heart of the work that we do, right? I mean, fundamentally, if you ever heard me speak at different industry events, or if you've seen me on the socials, you will see that it is not just a theme in our company. It is baked into the DNA of who we are. And you may have heard me say, we lead with love. And many people find that jarring. Like, what do you mean? We're in the business world. That sounds a little like, ooh, we don't know how we feel about that. That's okay. It doesn't have to it doesn't have to be in tune with everyone, because also what we have found over the years is the clients that do end up coming to us, Amanda, are our perfect clients, because what we are seeking is exactly what they're seeking. And so when we lead with love, it simply means this. And love, by the way, is not an adjective. It's a verb. My gosh, that was many, many years ago. Yes. So the when I say verb, I mean it's in the way in which we approach our clients. So when clients come to us through a variety of ways in which they find us, the first conversation really is, well, Amanda, why are we here today? And why are we going to talk about franchising? And we will in a moment. But first, I want to get to know you a little bit better. Tell me a little bit about you. And I think it is understanding and hearing with an ear to really listening for what the client is not telling you, Amanda. It's not what they're telling you, because that's easy stuff, right? They give you the story, but you're listening intently and you're listening with empathy, and it opens you up to say, well, Amanda, that's really fascinating. So, is it okay if I ask you a couple questions? And then to gently veer into those areas that you feel there are little golden nuggets there that for whatever reason they haven't shared with you, getting a sense of the person. From there, to then move on to say, well, why a franchise? There's many things you could do. And oh, by the way, if you think that franchising is going to give you a bajillion dollars at the end of year one, my friend, let us stop talking right now. Because if you do find that franchise, let me know. I would be interested. But the intent of that, and we use a lot of humor in the way we come across, in the way we deal with clients, because many times, to Amanda, while you and I have done this a million times, it is their first foray. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of nervousness. There's also a sense of, oh my gosh, I don't know them. Are they going to try and sell me? Are they going to make a hard sell? So I have to stay like this, right? And so typically what we see after that first conversation, the anxiety comes down, the walls kind of dissolve. They're leaning in. By the way, we do Zoom calls for a reason. I want to see all of you. I want to see the body language. I want to see if you're sitting like this. I want to see if you're on your phone while you're kind of sort of talking to me. I want to get all of that stuff, right? At the end of that call, it's very much, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'm a little nervous, but I feel like I'm not alone in this anymore, right? And then we start taking them through once we have brought them down to a place where we have started to establish some trust. They start to get a sense of, oh, okay, maybe this is not as transactional as I had thought it was going to be. I think I might have a partner in this. They're going to hold my hand and take me through. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Oh, definitely it does. And so after that process, then you introduce them to different brands. How do you go through your own process of vetting different brands that you want to introduce people to?
Absolutely. Having now been in the industry a number of years, we've gotten to know brands. We've gotten to know brands at a deeper level. Also, keep in mind, Amanda, when you have an inventory as large as we have, close to 700 brands, you absolutely have at least a dozen of every kind in every industry. So it's not just the one in that one industry. And so then that sort of next level of discernment, if you will, is okay. So the client says that they're interested in ABC. I look at ABC industry and there's 12 of them. Which is going to be the one that is likely to resonate the deepest with the client? That, I think, is, again, it's a function of two things. It is really understanding the client at a deeper level. The phrase I love to use with clients, and every client laughs, because I said, I want you to visualize yourself as an onion. You are an onion, Amanda. And as I take you through this process, if you will allow me, I would like to peel the layers back of the onion that is Amanda. If you don't allow me to do that, if you are closed off, it'll make it a little harder for me. But if you do, it'll allow me to put some businesses in front of you that I think will blow your socks off, right? And so it's that, understanding the client, but then very importantly, it's being able to really understand the way brands work. As a consultant, and I have worked with you many times, you and I have a cadence. As consultants, when we get to know brands, we get to know developers. We start to understand the way people interact with each other. I get a sense of how timely is Amanda? How quickly does she respond to me? Does she like emails? Does she like texts? Does she like phone calls? You do this. If you're a great developer, you start to do the same thing with me. In what way does Faizun like to correspond with us? Oh, she likes text. We'll just do text. She doesn't like emails. Whatever the thing is, right? So it's understanding the brands. Go a level deeper. If there's 12 of you in the same industry, here's the beauty. If you don't know your brands, you will not understand the nuances in brands that speaks to the nuances in the client. It is that simple. So again, it's absolutely understanding the client, but it's also knowing the brands that you are introducing your clients to. And then when you find that match, that's when the magic begins to happen.
I love that. And of course, we've worked together over the years, and it's been a wonderful journey. And so thank you for that, by the way. But walk me through, I guess, more of a story when it comes to some of your clients on maybe a challenging placement that you've had over the years and with your experience. And what did you do to find a good fit for that specific person ultimately?
Yeah. I love that question. I'm thinking of someone, and in order to preserve the identities of the guilty, we shall not name them. So let's call him Sam. So Sam came to me through his mentor. He was a veteran. He had served on the front lines. Um, I want to say half of Sam's body was all metal, just to give you a sense, right? So he went to his mentor. He had let me back up a little bit. When he had transitioned back into civilian life, he began a construction company, and he grew that construction company from nothing to when he sold the company. I think he had over 100 employees, and they were doing probably top line between 90 to 100 million, right? So he sold the company. And then he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm having like a kind of early midlife crisis because now what am I going to do? I sold my company." Goes to his mentor. Mentor is a dear, dear friend of mine. And he speaks to him and he says, it seems to me you need to speak to Faizun. So he does the introduction. We get together. I fall in love with the guy. He is infuriating as hell. He had all sorts of, there was stuff happening, different things in his life was in chaos. Things were moving at the speed of light. I loved the guy. Here's what happened. Typically, Amanda, we will take a client from start to finish. You're looking at roughly between 60 to 90, maybe a little bit longer, 60 to 90 days, start to finish. He was uprooting his family and moving them to the other side of the country. He had started the franchise search with me. He had some health related things from his prior service that he still needed to deal with. So there were some big major things in his life happening. When we got him in, the first set of brands he never really resonated with. He jumped out. He did a couple of things here. He did a couple of things there. I had to pull him down and say, listen, there's a process. If you cannot follow process, you cannot work with us. Here's what this is going to look like. He was incredibly coachable. That's another thing of rock star clients. Rock star clients are incredibly coachable. They have the humility to come to the table and understand they may not know everything and that it's okay. This is what we are here for. So leading him through that, from start to finish, Amanda, if I remember correctly, it took him close to 9 months. Okay. He ended up becoming one of the largest franchisees in a very well-known food brand. He came in as, in our franchise industry speak, he came in as an area developer. So he pretty much bought out almost the entire state that he was going to be in. And he then became, in essence, the franchisor, recruiting unit level franchisees into that particular system. Challenges, Yes. I was like, good God, when the hell am I ever going to get rid of you? Like, it's been too freaking long, right? And I said that with all love. Just a delight to work with. Incredible human being, incredibly smart and dialed in to what he wanted to do and how he felt franchising would be his pathway there. So that
Oh,
would be an
wow.
example I'd share with you. Yeah.
Oh, I love that story. And it brings me also to my next question. Of course, his financial background is a lot different than maybe some other people exploring franchising as a whole. So how do you help different candidates that are coming from different financial backgrounds find the right fit?
100%. That's such a great question. And you're right. Not everyone's financials are going to be exactly what I
Mhm.
just shared with you. And that's okay. One of the biggest myths, Amanda, in franchising, and it is almost a weekly conversation with clients that come to us, where they will say, "Oh my gosh, well, I guess I have to spend a lot of money to be able to get a really large return." And I say, no, the two are not proportionately connected. It does not work that way. Um, we have a funding concierge. This is part of so when clients come to us, Amanda, we are a one stop shop. You don't come to us, we don't just show you brands and then say go and find an attorney, go and find a bank, go and find a funder to be able to help you figure out the funding piece. We have all of those pieces in house. So you come in as a client from day one. As we introduce you to the brands you're going to be doing due diligence with, we also introduce you to our funding concierge. She is amazing. She knows the franchise funding space inside out and backwards and forwards. Um, what she does is essentially do a deep dive into a client's specific financials and to then say, okay, well, Amanda, based on what you're sharing with me and the brands that you've been introduced to, here seem to be the top three optimal ways in which you can fund the business. And here in the United States, we have a number of different ways in which we can do that. There's government backed loans, the SBA loans. A very popular one happened to be when candidates, particularly ones coming from corporate America, will use their retirement account monies in what's called a rollover, right? So there's a whole host of ways in which we can help people figure out funding. That's actually one of the, I will tell you, it is one of the biggest reasons why people hesitate to look at franchising, because in their minds they think, oh my gosh, I don't have the money. But once they find out it is a service that we offer you, you don't have to pay us extra for that, the whole equation shifts for them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I mean that kind of answers my next question to a degree as well, but maybe you could dive into what you feel like is the biggest misconception that clients have about franchising.
The biggest misconception is where somebody will say to me, I'd like a franchise where I don't have to work full time in the business and I'll still make a bajillion dollars at the end of year one. And in my earlier years in franchising, my head would go psh, like I don't even know where to begin to answer that. These days I'm a little calmer, and we kind of go through and we break down and we say, first of all, part-time effort, part-time result. Part-time effort, your income is going to be reflected through that part-time effort. So it's sort of I used to I like to use the phrase, Amanda, if you pick up one end of the stick, my friend, by definition you have also picked up the other end of the stick. And so if you're going to do this part-time, understand that your income is going to be reflected in that. That's number one. Number two, every business has a certain earnings that they will offer their franchisees. And as you go through this due diligence process, as you go through what's called validation, where you speak to franchisees, in the conversations you're going to have with them, you'll start to understand, oh, how much money am I going to be able to make relative to the effort that I am putting into the business? I would say that's a really, really big one. And, I think it's a huge disservice to this amazing industry that we are in if we give our candidates the incorrect impression, oh my gosh, just come into a franchise because it's magic. You don't really need to do a lot of stuff. You'll still make money. I think that's a very destructive thing in the industry. And we do our clients a disservice when we do
Yeah.
that.
I couldn't agree more. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for taking your time with me this morning. It's truly a pleasure to always get to speak with you and see you at all of these different conferences. And I just truly want to say thank you for your time.
Amanda, thank you. I love you and the School Individual team. Thank you so much.